What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Victory Podcast. This week, we have on none other than Trent Brown. Trent, within the last year, has been traded from the 49ers to the New England Patriots, where he won a Super Bowl and has subsequently signed the richest deal ever in NFL history for an offensive lineman going out to play for the Raiders. And if you saw Trent during his press tour, every shirt that he wore always said hashtag greatest underdog. So we had no choice but to have Trent on and have him unpack that story so that we can understand what made him the greatest underdog, what was his journey to get to the point now where he's at the absolute top of the mountain. So without any further ado, here's our conversation with Trent Brown, the greatest underdog. Trent, exactly 1 year ago today, you're playing right tackle for the 49ers. In 1 year's time, you now have two children. You've won a Super Bowl. You just signed the richest deal in offensive lineman history. How did this happen?
It's all God. I'm only a vessel, and I'm just doing His work.
Man, I mean, it's just, how do you even keep a level head? There's just been so much transition. I mean, the roller coaster, I mean, I'm sure you have to be leaning on your family or someone's to kind of keep you grounded through all this.
I've always prided myself on being humble. Definitely 9 times out of 10, gonna be the most humble guy in the room, and I've always prided myself on that. Being where I come from is not necessarily meaning where I come from, but just how I've been put on the back burner my whole life and overshadowed, so to speak. I just kept this humbleness about me and had a lot of people I wanted to prove wrong, and a lot of people very few I wanted to prove right. And it's just always been about God and family for me. Nothing else really matters. I guess a lot of people would have thought, oh, he got his big contract, he's about to splurge and buy a whole lot. I mean, but I have everything I've had for a while. Everything I needed, so I don't really need anything. I don't need to buy anything. I got a house, and that's it. Nothing else. This is just security. Moving forward, it's financial security that I'm trying to create generational wealth and break the generational curses. And I knew that I always felt like I would be that one to break that curse, because I saw day in and day out how hard my mom and dad worked. My dad literally worked around the clock, beat his body up. For me and my brother to have the opportunities to go from camp to camp, AAU tournament to AAU tournament, travel football game, practices here and there, city to city, state to state, year round, and day after day, month after month, year in, year out. And I always just wanted to give it back to my parents, honestly. None of this has really been for me. It's just been for my parents and my offspring. So I got to give all the honor and glory to God, and I'll continue to do so going forward.
That's so awesome, man.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that really is just so cool to hear. And, you sign a big contract, I'm sure that there's just so many options of how to celebrate. But why do I have a feeling that you're jumping on the grill? There's a cookout, steaks, salads. It's nothing big. It's just going to be you and those people that you wanted to prove right.
For sure. I mean, my birthday, my 26th birthday, is 2 months after I signed my contract, and I choose to celebrate at home with family, having a nice cookout. Just a few people, nothing major. Then report to OTAs on Monday.
Blue collar mentality. That's awesome, man. That's I'm sure it's only going to continue to serve you well. And I think we've kind of set the stage now for what the last year's been like. But for any of us to really understand how this happened, we got to hit the rewind button. So I know that you're born in Texas, but you went to high school in Georgia. Can you just talk a little bit about what that was growing up? You know, how did you start playing football? What was just sort of the pathway for you to, you know, eventually, you know, be in a position where you could decide, you know, where you're going to take your football future?
Oh, I can honestly remember it vividly. Like the night we were super young and we were watching the movie in my parents' room. It was it was Varsity Blues actually, and I was watching. We were watching the movie all together, and while the movie was going on, I was like, I don't know how. I don't remember how big it was, but I know it wasn't that big. It was like a really slender doorway, hall to hall. Like it was an apartment, so our bedrooms were right. Me and my brother shared a room, and of course, my parents were literally no more than 3 steps from one door to the next, and like I was just acting like I was running with the football, doing moves, spinning and stuff. I don't know how I didn't break anything, but I was just like, dang, I can't wait to play football. And then my dad signed us up, and my first position ever was running back. I started playing football when I was 5, and I don't think the age is like 6 or something like that, 6 or 7 or something like that. But so I've never played with my age group. I've always played up, and that's probably benefited me a lot to this day. I didn't start playing offensive line until high school. I've always been a skill player. I played anything on the field except for offensive line up until high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you could have been out there catching passes this whole time?
I went from running back to quarterback. I played cornerback, safety, DB, all the linebackers, D-line, all the glory positions.
Yeah. And Trent, that's pretty cool because, I mean, you think about the neighborhood kid, right? If you grow up in a neighborhood, you play with all the older kids. And, you know, for yourself, too, you're playing with all the older kids. You may not have saw it when you were younger, but that, you know, ultimately, I'm sure paved the path for you to be able to play with the older kids and just get your skill set better. So by the time you were their age, you were already miles ahead of them.
For sure. Yeah. Nobody could even really tell because I've always, like, anything athletically has always pretty much come easy to me.
Mm-hmm.
The foot speed, just footwork, basketball, anything. Like I remember doing step back threes on a play school goal when I was like 2 years old outside, and the grass was wet, and my dad walked outside and he just saw me and he smiled, and then I remember this vividly. It's the same apartment, and that's, I guess that right there is what made him want to buy us a real goal after that. And like a week or so after that, we had a real goal, no more play school goal.
Cool. So at what point did you decide I'm going to do football instead of basketball? Because I mean, you said AAU earlier, and I know your brother's just like a year or so older than you. So I'm sure that the two of you were probably playing sports all the time. But how did you guys, or how did you personally ultimately end up moving in the football direction?
Well, basketball is kind of soft, and I've always kind of leaned more towards football.
Did like all the flopping?
Yeah, especially today, I would have been really obsolete. But and even in basketball, I played guard, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I played AAU basketball, and I remember going into my senior year, I turned Old Dominion called my mom's phone, and I was like, they were like, "Is Trent Brown there?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is me." It was like, we want to get you up on campus, and I'm like, "Coach, I'm not even gonna waste your time. I'm gonna play football in college." That was the honorable thing to do, but I really should have took the visit just to do it. You know what I mean? But hey, I didn't want to waste nobody's time. I knew I knew what my plans were, and so I didn't take the visit.
Got it. So, you know, how is it even possible that you're playing only basketball in high school though? Like the football coach wasn't pounding down your door like,
I've always played both.
Oh, you always played both?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I've like football and basketball. I've always played both. Like since I was 5 years old, I was playing basketball before that, but I've always played both my whole life, and then I had to make that decision in high school.
So obviously, with your size, I'm sure that you definitely had the option of at least two sports. But I would imagine with that size, you probably had options for once high school ended. But you decided to go to the Georgia Military College. What was it about that school? Can you just walk us through that situation? What were you sort of looking at, and why did you ultimately choose there?
Well, it was funny because it was either there or Hargrave Military, and I'm not a test taker, even though I don't know how that works, but I'm not a test taker. I always get test anxiety, so I would have had to make the score and all this. So I was just like, nah, forget this. I'm gonna go to college, and I ended up at GMC, and that's probably my most memorable college experience. Man, that place will always hold a near and dear place in my heart.
Now, why is that? Is that just because of the coaches there, the atmosphere there? I mean, or just everything that was involved in that?
Everything that you have to go through
Sure.
while you're there. I mean, it really creates a bond and a brotherhood between the team, and all those guys are really my brother to this day. Neville Hewitt, who plays for the Jets, he's about to be out here for my birthday this weekend. So, and his birthday was just last weekend. So that just speaks volumes on how we've all stayed connected. When I was down in Miami going through the free agency process, a few more guys came down there. Ty Quentin Coleman, he played football at Arkansas after GMC. Trey Carter, he played at La Tech, Louisiana Tech after. And we all had a number of offers, and we've all stayed connected through everything. We may not talk a lot, but it's always, 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 you know what I mean? We never miss a beat.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about your JUCO experience too, as far as like getting out of JUCO and ending up where you ended up at Florida? We get a taste of it with Last Chance U on Netflix, where everyone tunes in and thinks that's how the JUCO experience is, and it's obviously different for every school. But can you talk a little bit about your JUCO experience and actually getting out of there and going to Florida?
Man, I feel like that's not really the actual. I don't feel like that's real all the way. It's a bit scripted, but
yeah.
They should have put the show at GMC if they wanted to see a real JUCO. I mean, but JUCO is JUCO. I mean, you go there and you handle your business, you're gonna end up on the Division I college level. Mm-hmm. Most people, I'll say, but and you're gonna get your opportunity at other places if you just handle your business. I wouldn't tell anybody not to go to JUCO, especially mine. But it's nothing wrong with going to junior college, and some people may try to tell people, "Oh, you don't want to go to junior college," but there's nothing wrong with it at all. There's nothing wrong with it. You can still get to where you're going, where you're trying to get to. You just got to go in there with the right mindset and handle your business.
Exactly. Yep.
And particularly a military college. I mean, I'd imagine up early morning, you're doing PT in class, like that discipline can only help you.
For sure. And I've never had a problem with discipline either. My mom and dad were both ex-veterans. My dad's still a police officer. My mom's a school teacher. So discipline has never really been an issue for me. I don't like school, to keep it real. Mm-hmm. I feel like school is something, I wouldn't say you don't need it, but just the things they teach in school should be more
life-driven, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Definitely more life-driven, and not because honestly, once you get after third grade, you learn all the math you need to know for basic life skills. Yeah. I mean, they should be teaching things about taxes, about filing taxes, about buying houses, balancing checkbooks, and things of that nature. Like even when you get out of college, you don't have a clue about how to do any of those things.
Yeah, you're just a big kid. You're not an adult yet. You gotta get a couple of bumps and bruises.
College is like an extension of high school away from your parents. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know.
So you do go to Florida though, and you play 2 seasons there. looking at it from an outsider's perspective, 2013, you play in 12, and you start 5 games at tackle after someone goes down, and then your last year at Florida, you're playing 11 games, but you're playing mostly at guard. When you think about your time there, do you feel like the reason why you picked Florida over all the other options, did that come to fruition? Do you feel like that was really a good representation of what you were able to do with your career?
Nah. And
I felt that coming.
To talk about when I did begin starting at Florida, it wasn't because somebody got injured. It was because they were honestly trash, and I was better than them, and it was about time I got my opportunity. But as usual, I never speak out of turn or anything. I just play my role. You know what I mean? Everybody on the team and even everybody on the coaching staff knew I was better than the guy they were playing in front of me. In fact, he's probably the reason why Michael Sam got drafted so high, because I believe Michael Sam had about 5 sacks that day. So yeah, I was about to start anyway that Georgia week. He just so happened to had fell off a scooter that day, and the week leading up to the Georgia-Florida game, and they tried to use that narrative instead of the real one, which was I was getting bumped up. Finally. And the second part of the question is, I really, honestly, looking back on it, I didn't want to be far away from home. Because if you, I don't know how much research you guys have done, but I was committed to Georgia for the longest before I switched to Florida. But all in all, 2020, hindsight is 2020. I should have gone to Texas A&M.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw that was on your list.
But I just didn't know how Texas A&M was going to be able to compete being that was going to be their first year in the SEC. And Florida was coming off a Sugar Bowl appearance, even though they got their ass whooped. I was signed at that point, but I was hoping that I was going there to a winning team, and I was going to be a part of something special.
Sure.
But I think my 2 years at Florida, we had the worst records in school history, especially that first year. Or was it 4-8? And we lost to Georgia Southern. We lost to, I think we lost to Vanderbilt. No, we didn't. I don't know, but it was trash. You know what I mean?
So that's got to be tough. The situation as a team doesn't go as you want. You being your personality, you're a quiet guy. You just do the job that you're told to do. I feel like this is the beginning of the true underdog story, because you got all the size in high school. You have some options. You go to the military route, and you finally are in a position to really pick your destiny, and you kind of get dealt a crap hand. So I just going from that, and there was talent on that offensive line with DJ Humphries and I think it was Max Garcia.
Yeah.
There was room at a couple different other spots that last year. So that being said, how do you feel now at the end of your senior year, where there's no extra year of college football? You now have to prepare for the draft. What was your mindset going into it?
Even playing the hand I was dealt at Florida, I had still been hearing I was going to get drafted on day 2, rounds 3 through 5, somewhere in there. But I got drafted 7th round. I played out of position my senior year because they said they wanted the best 5 on the field. They came to me with that proposal in spring ball, saying they wanted the best 5 on the field. I'm like, hey, okay, I'll do what's best for the team. If that's where you want me, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking it's going to be, hey, he did this for the team. When it's time to talk to these scouts and coaches and teams for the draft, they're going to help you out. That wasn't the case. They did everything but that, honestly, and that's why I slid to the 7th. And this is nothing that I just think happened or anything. I was actually told this by people in the organization when I got to San Fran. They just basically told me they didn't help you out at all. So there you go. Um,
Pick 244. I mean, but that pick had to put a tremendous chip on your shoulder, essentially, when you're going into Sanford now and saying, all right, you guys passed on me. You know, the coaches at Florida were passing on you. And now it's just like that chip just gets even bigger and bigger and bigger. And now you get in the Sanford and it's time to roll.
I was the second to last offensive lineman drafted. The second to last.
From 7th round on top of the mountain. We'll say it again. I mean, it's crazy how it all works out in the end, right?
I bet you if we did that draft class over, I'm definitely, and I knew it then, and I'll stand on this now. I'm still the best offensive lineman in that draft class.
Right now, there's no debate.
Yeah, there's no debate from any of us here.
So, you know, you do get to San Fran now, and as rightfully stated, there's a bit of a chip on your shoulder. But you go in and hey, for a 7th round pick, you play a few games, you start a couple of games your rookie year. But your second camp, the infamous Von Miller quote comes out. What does that do for you in just validating you and giving you confidence?
It definitely helped me because I've never been one to shy away from competition, and going against Von definitely helped me kind of push my confidence up a bit. And it was like, man, you can really do this. You can really play in this league. And so I had no clue that he said that about me, but people were telling me, it's like, dang, bro, that boy Von's. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so my homie sent me the link, and I'm like, dang. You know what I mean? Like, to this day, I'm still like, dang. Like, because this is Von, like, he coming off a Super Bowl MVP. Like, who am I? I'm Trent Brown, 7th round. Like, nobody knows me. But then again, people in higher places having the power to control the narrative, and they don't want to. I guess they don't want to seem like they were wrong. You got the first round pick, Super Bowl MVP, telling you that me, Trent Brown, 7th rounder, is the best offensive tackle in football right now. Mm-hmm. That's just my second camp. It's not after my second year. This is really, I'm still a rookie, honestly. And so that did nothing but boost my ego a little. Not saying that I have one, but it just helped boost my confidence. And I started that year. We had Chip Kelly that year. I started that year. I had I had an okay season. Went into the off season and came back my 3rd year. Had another good year. Got hurt. I didn't particularly like that. I chose to have surgery, but Dr. Andrews said that I'm risking my career if I continue playing. And honestly, we were only praying for pride at that point. We had no shot at going at postseason play. So I decided to have the surgery. You know what I mean? Thinking that, okay, you had this surgery. We got a franchise QB now in Garoppolo. And you know what I'm saying? You come back ready for camp. You don't miss any days in camp. You're going to be ready. I guess they didn't feel the same. First day of the draft, I get a call that I'm getting traded. Then I get.
So I think that I'd heard you say that business became personal. And it's probably easy to look at that decision, even though it's a well-informed one done with the best intention for the longevity of your career. That might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. And this is after, we didn't even talk about Joe Staley comparing you to Jonathan Ogden, one of the best ever to do it. So you have contemporaries that are saying, hey, this guy's legit. He's the real deal. Mm-hmm. But still, when you look back at it, do you think it's just sort of regime change with the Chip Kelly stuff? Do you even think about it?
Nah, the past is the past. I let it go. But I was completely blindsided by it, honestly, because I only gave up 1 sack before I got injured, and that was it was a Rams game, a Thursday night game. But up until that point, I had only given up 1 sack, and I was on a roll. You know what I mean? I was definitely getting comfortable and thinking I was getting set in into that right tackle position for a long time until Joe retired, and then I was hoping to move to left or whatever. But I was definitely getting comfortable as a shoe-in kind of cornerstone right tackle for the organization. But I guess they didn't see it that way. And it ended up all being a blessing. As I knew from the beginning, I knew it was a blessing because God makes zero mistakes. You know what I mean? I got traded to if the most winningest in the last decade franchise there is. I mean, and as soon as I knew I was getting traded, I'm like, I'm going to get a Super Bowl. This is not going to be the last day here at Trent Brown. Because I felt like it was kind of some ill intent because I know it was probably some other teams out there that wanted me. But I feel like they probably were trading me there thinking like, oh, he's not going to make it. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to fly under the radar. Nah. I could have been mad and handled it a certain way and not prospered there, but I was like, nah, I get to protect the GOAT. I'm definitely gonna have the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And I played for the best coaching staff I've had in my life. I mean, I haven't had honestly, since my junior year of high school, I have had junior college, I had the same coaching staff every year, but after that, I had a different coach every year, different position coach. And not at Florida, I had the same head coach my 2 years there, but since that, I had a different position coach, different head coach every year. But to be able to go in and play for greats, play with greats, and it's just an all-around brotherhood and team organization there is perfect. Miss Nancy, from Miss Nancy to anybody, I mean, top to bottom, it's just great guys, great people.
Yeah. Now you end up getting, you're playing left tackle now, obviously protecting Tom Brady. You're still carrying that chip on your shoulder because people are still doubting you a little bit. Did you feel any pressure in a sense of having to protect Tom Brady and just trying to make the name for yourself? And still, obviously you still have that underdog mentality, but what did it feel like mentally for you stepping into that season?
Contract year too, man. I have to imagine that the chip on your shoulder with everything couldn't be bigger than going into this previous season.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely got out to a slow start, but I just knew I just needed a chance to get my feet up under me. And I had Coach Scar and the guys were definitely playing a monumental role in helping me get to where I finished the season at. And I knew once I got comfortable over there, it was gonna be back to, back to normal as I was doing on the right side. Like nobody was getting by me, and that's all I needed was a little time to get comfortable and get to feeling myself. And I think I started doing that around really comfortable around like week 8. I don't know when we played the Vikings, but that's when I really started. Well, I was a little comfortable when we played the Colts that Thursday night game, and then it just got better from there.
Yeah, and we look at this season. I think this is the first year where I feel like the Patriots were kind of the underdogs, right? Because the Chiefs were now coming up, and it kind of fit the narrative with your story. And then the Patriots people saying Tom Brady's getting old, and that narrative started to float around too. You're carrying that underdog mentality. The team's carrying that underdog mentality. What was it like going into the playoffs and then handling business like you guys did?
Well, I know I had a come to Jesus meeting with myself going to the playoffs, and I told myself, like, you've been humble for too long. I felt like I got snubbed on the Pro Bowl once again. And I told myself, you've been humble for too long. Being humble gets you put on the back burner and it give people the opportunity to disrespect you. Mm-hmm. I was over it. And I told myself, you're going to be one of a few teams playing. All eyes will be on you. And going in, I knew, especially going into free agency, I was like, this is your chance right here. This is your chance to show the world. This is your chance to show the people that you are the best, and you need to prove it. So I had a different mentality, a different swagger, and also I felt disrespected because, that first playoff game we played the Chargers, I was just going to the post office to deliver a package, send off a package to Alec Rhodes, the guy that I became friends with in Canada because of this. He asked for a package that was supposed to get there before Christmas, but it didn't. So I sent something else and it got there to him. But just people were like, "Man, are you worried about that Chargers pass rush?" And I'm just like, "Damn!" Like, and these are our fans. I'm like, "Nah, you must don't. They don't know who I am." That's what I was telling myself. And I actually had that come to Jesus meeting with myself after that. It was that night that I was like, "Nah, you got to show these people who you are."
Yep.
And
so did you say, I don't know if it was to Reggie or not, but did you say, talking about that AFC Championship game, the stakes had never been higher, but you just had never been more comfortable, zero pressure?
Yeah,
I mean,
I said the stakes were at all-time high, and I didn't feel no pressure.
And that's, professionally playing in the biggest stage or second biggest to the stage you ultimately played at, but also with everything on the line for your financial and playing future, and there's zero pressure. I mean, what do you attribute? I mean, is it just that come to Jesus moment? I mean, how do you dig deep when it's needed most and you pitch a shutout?
Well, I just knew I had to talk with myself, and I kept talking with myself. And I just knew going into that Chiefs game that they were going to try to throw a curveball at me. I knew Justin Houston wasn't going to be over there. I just knew going into the game because the game we played them earlier in the season, Justin Houston didn't play, and D Ford was on the right for majority of the game. I think he may have came over there by maybe 3 snaps, but he didn't get anywhere even in that game. But I knew I was going to have to deal with some speed. And I took care of business. I felt no pressure. I was calm. Nothing was fazing me. Even the ups and downs of the game, I wasn't fazed at all. I was ready.
Yeah, and I mean, it showed obviously a hard-fought game, and then the Super Bowl as well. But I mean, the offensive line, I mean, you guys as a unit just absolutely stole the show. Besides Ryan Allen just doing his job as a punter with the field position game. I mean, I do want to move off the Patriots though, because as fun of a ride as that was, it is over. But when I look at how you guys gelled as a unit, and you're now going to be playing with the Raiders next year, how do you kind of mesh that underdog mentality with, you're probably going to be looked at as, the new guy, but probably as a leader of that group? How do you sort of mesh those two things where, I feel like I've been dealt a raw hand and I've been overlooked, but also with my teammates, I now feel a responsibility to kind of get us all on the same page?
Well, I think going into this Raiders organization, the beautiful thing about it is they got 2 guys that are staples and leaders already, in Rodney Hudson and Gabe Jackson. Those guys are definitely great inside, and I'm sure that doesn't just show up on the field. It shows up in the locker room, in the classroom, and everywhere. So that's I don't really feel any pressure to be a leader. I'm not really that vocal guy, but I really just want to continue being myself and walk and stand in my lane and just, I guess, lead by example. That's the only thing I could do. Of course, any young guy or anybody that I see I can lend any help to, I definitely would do so, as I'm sure they'll do for me. But as far as just feeling like I have to be that guy, I don't feel that way.
And that makes sense. It's kind of true to your character. I mean, you've to be who you are is, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. But I guess really what I was going for is just, how do you carry being the underdog when you've now had your moment of shine? You've just gotten that contract that you've busted your ass for. How do you still have that chip on your shoulder when you've kind of just got a lot of the respect that you were looking for?
Because as you say, it's still people that think it's a fluke.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I didn't just do it to get one contract, because I mean, yeah, people see that big number on TV, but I got to give Uncle Sam half of that. And then California State Taxes is going to get their percentage too. But so I want another one. You know what I mean? I'm only going to be 26 Saturday. And then I want another one after that. You know what I mean? Like I want another ring. So I got to give way more of what you guys saw last year. You know what I mean? I got to keep going, never stop.
Yeah, playing for that legacy too, right? I mean, it's part of that path. Is now we're playing for a little bit of legacy. We got the money, and now you can feel comfortable. And I think that's probably going to be exciting to watch this year coming up. It's just going to be how comfortable you are, and the fact that you keep that chip on your shoulder. I mean, the sky's the limit, and like I said, we're playing for legacy, which is going to be great.
Right.
Yeah, and man, when I look at your story, we've talked about it, but just at so many points, whether you want to go back to high school or your time at JUCO, you could have just looked at how the situation in Florida went and be like, man, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I won't pursue it. The time with the 49ers, you could have folded your hand and be like, man, I think this is it. Maybe you don't ball out with the Patriots last year. How do you go through all this and have the confidence to stick to it and just continue to work, even though you feel like you have all the doubters in the world and no one's in your corner? How do you not give up?
Because I've never had a plan B. Never.
There's no safety blanket. It's this or nothing.
This or nothing. I'm too big to go into the military. I'm not going back to school. You feel me? This is it. You know what I mean? Like it was either football or probably law enforcement.
You would have been a hell of a cop.
Yeah,
football pays a little bit better.
For sure. Definitely know the ropes in both fields.
Yeah. So I mean, piggybacking off of that though, if you were to talk to a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid that really wants to make it as a professional athlete, what's the best advice that you could give them?
Anything you put your mind to, you can do it. And you don't need anybody to believe in you other than yourself. As long as you have yourself, your self-belief in God, you can achieve anything you want. You don't even need your parents to believe in you. You don't have to have your parents to be successful. You know what I mean? You just put the work in, be yourself, be humble, grind, stick to the script.
And you'll be greatest dog. I mean, if anyone can go from, what is it, 7th round to the top of the mountain, man, it's the stage is yours to be giving advice for anyone that's listening out there, because it's you're living proof.
Yes, sir.
Well, that is really it that I had for the Raiders stuff. But have you given any thought to playing in Vegas yet? What that's going to be like? I know it's not next season, but it's coming up.
I think it'll be fun. It's definitely going to be. I think Vegas ain't really a happening city like some people think it is. I don't think so. Because I'm not a gambler, I guess so. But I'm excited. Hey, this year playing in Oakland in the Black Hole is definitely gonna be fun. But to be a part of the first team, first organization, first franchise to play football in Las Vegas, it's gonna be dope. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. There's gonna be a lot of opportunities that comes from it. So I'm excited.
For sure. And I mean, typically 2 or 3 guys from a franchise get sort of advertised out there. We got Derek Carr, we got Antonio Brown, and I'm really feeling that TB77 is going to be that third face out there.
Hey, I hope so. For a long time.
Well, Trent, thank you so much for coming on with us, man. We had a great time. Thank you for sharing your story for everyone.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Trent.